Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Sporting Dog Adventures. With KPO Guide Service, we're in southeastern Kansas. We're in a waterfowl hunt. We're out here in a field. There's ducks and geese work in the area. The cool thing is we are actually hunting right next to a nuclear power plant. The warm water's keeping the ice off of the area where the birds are roosting. They are just stacked in there. It should be a great hunt. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's High Flying Adventures.
Attaboy!
Sporting Dog Adventures, run, boy, run. Everything you need is here under the sun. Everything you need is here under the sun.
Welcome to the Sporting Dog Adventures channel. Please like our video and subscribe so you catch our 3 new videos weekly. Last season, we had a Kansas waterfowl hunt set up. We ended up freezing out, so this year we're going to try to do it right. We got a hunt set up with KPO Guide Service. This was also the return of my main dog, Rommel, to the field. Last year in Montana, he had an injury. He had a thorn in his foot. We had to have it cleaned out 2 or 3 times. Ultimately, we had to have the whole area removed. He was finally back, healthy, and ready for the field. By the time we arrived to our field where we were going to hunt, we started to unload. Rommel was more than ready. But first, we had to set up the field.
To about the bed of your truck.
All right, Matt, we got her set up here. We've got the birds roosting on the power plant. What time are the birds going to come and how are we set?
Birds should get up, probably 8:30 range. Typical when they've been getting up. It really isn't that cold of a day. Got the decoys in basically a backwards J. A lot of heavy feeders right up here around the kill hole. Now we just wait for the birds.
You had said that the birds basically were feeding kind of all over in the area, but we're kind of right in their flight paths. So we're going to suck them right down to us.
Basically running traffic today.
It was amazing watching all the birds come off the pond by the power plant. Line after line of geese would lift up, and then they would head out to feed. Now it's time to play air traffic controller and bring some of them over to us.
Rommel here.
We had multiple birds go down, and one glided and landed deep in the field. 2 were down for retrieves, but we knew we had one big challenge for Rommel. This was going to be his first big blind retrieve since coming back.
Here, come on, bud. Hey. Arr!
So we thought we had a cripple down, sent Rommel on a blind retrieve. When he got to it, it flew away. We had one land earlier. I guess that was the bird.
Come on, buddy.
Here.
Rommel was definitely getting workout and performing well on his debut back to the field. Stay tuned for more high-flying Canada goose shooting action after this. This training tip is brought to you by Conquest Scent Sticks.
Welcome to this week's training tip. I'm Paul Cortez from Lakota Retrievers. This week's training tip is teaching the whistle sit. I have Cruz here, who's a Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever, and he'll be our demo dog. When you get a dog to this point, they have to be through their basic obedience and they have to understand their basic commands. Sit, heel, here, heel, here, sit. He's working with me, he's paying attention to me, heel, sit. So he's ready to start the next step. To teach the whistle, we're going to utilize a command he already understands, and that's the word sit. You're going to give a command sit, blow the whistle, and then give the command sit again. Sit, sit. Good. You saw Cruz sit as soon as I stopped, and that's from his obedience. So now I have to teach him to sit and stay still while I continue to move. We're going to teach that by using this lead, and when I say sit or blow the whistle, I'm going to pull the lead up and I'm going to hold him in that seated position, and then I'm going to continue to walk forward. Heel. Sit. 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 Good. Sit. Sit. Good. You can even walk around just to make sure he sits still. Good. And you're just going to continue around the yard, keep on doing and repeating the commands. That's this week's training tip, and now back to the hunt.
Back on our morning hunt, the birds continued to rise off the pond by the power plant. We tried to keep the birds coming so we could put them on the ground so we could keep Rommel occupied with retrieves.
Rommel kennel. Chicken chase. Man, they look like they're closer than that. Rommel, hip. Good boy. Come on, buddy.
We kept putting the birds down, and Rommel kept retrieving them back to us.
Auto single. Good boy. Come on, bud. Come on, buddy. That's a boy. Good boy. Here. We got a bird down out here, 500 yards or so. So we're gonna give Rommel one more chance to run a big blind. The bird actually crossed the highway. We got everything cleaned up, so now we're gonna pick our last bird. Ready, Rom? Heck! Back! Over! I let him cheat it because it was so far out. It kept getting sucked over, but I let him cheat it to the wind and we got him into the scent cone and he picked it up. But you'd like it to be prettier and cleaner, but at the same time, that's a haul. I talked to go get that bird. Atta boy!
Coming up on Sporting Dog Adventures, we switch from geese to ducks. Our crew heads out to a riverside to try to give Rommel a different challenge.
And now it's time for Ladies Corner.
Hi, I'm Rod Haydel. We've got Katie here with us, and she's new to the waterfowling sport. And like so many women that are becoming involved in this nowadays, she's just going to start learning how to call. So I've got a nice little pink call for you, just like the one you have at home, but I understand you hadn't been using it much lately.
No.
So I'm going to try to get you started for this afternoon's hunt. I like to voice a word into the call, and I say "voot" into the call. So rather than just blowing, I'm going just like that. And you can hear the difference in your quack rather than just blowing. when you voice it, see how much deeper and quackier it's sounding? There you go. There you go. And that gives you your good basic quack. And I like to teach people when they're just starting to call, if they can just concentrate on 5 good notes, that's all it takes. And your greeting call is basically 5 quacks put together. So it's just basically five quacks. You can put them together a little faster when the ducks are, you need to turn them, you know, as a comeback call. Again, 5 quacks. Pretty simple. What do you think? Think you can do it?
You sound a lot better than me.
Or we're going to let you try it
reasons.
here in a little bit. Let's get back and get set up so we can do some hunting.
In the afternoon, we set up along a riverbank for a duck hunt. They'd had a lot of cold weather in the area, so most of the water was froze over. This had some current, so they had open areas and a lot of birds roosting on it. We picked cover on the riverbank that allowed us to blend in, and then all we had to do was call and wait for the birds to work in.
Come here, Rommel, here.
With the current of the river, Rommel could not always count on the birds being where he had marked them. He'd have to either anticipate where the birds ended up with the current, or we'd have to run them on blind retrieves.
We're on a little bit of a break here. Rod, tell me about Haydel calls.
Well, we started out making duck calls in 1981 and kind of expanded the line from there, make turkey, deer, squirrel, a little bit of everything. If you can hunt it and call it up, we make a call for it. So
I know what I always hear from people when I like about your guys' calls, they're affordable. You've got a good quality call, it's got a good sound to it, but it doesn't break your wallet.
right. Most of our calls average, $30 and under. We do make the high dollar stuff for some of the guys that want that type of thing, but most of our calls, most popular calls are under $30.
You've got everything from your turkey calls to your deer calls. I didn't know about that stuff. I knew, obviously, you had waterfowl calls, but we used a couple of your grunt calls here this year in Kansas, and you got some really nice products.
Well, thank you.
So now, all we got to do is make me into the expert caller, so that we don't have to have you or anybody else calling. I'll just call in all the ducks.
I've got to go back tomorrow. We ain't got a week or two.
All right, well, we better get back to the hunt then. Let's go.
Groups of birds were moving on and off the river as they went to the adjacent fields to feed. Every once in a while we looked down, we could see the ducks swimming upstream toward our spot.
Nice shot, Rod. Back. That was a freaking awesome shot through the tree.
Gotta ignore the tree.
Yeah, he's on it.
Rod Haydel, Haydel Calls, thanks for sharing the field with us this week.
You bet. I had a good time.
We got some ducks, we got some geese. The dog did a heck of a job.
He was awesome on the line, let me tell you. That was great.
Now tell me, am I hopeless on calling?
Nah, you got a little bit more work to do, but I think you'll get there.
All right, I'll make you a deal. I'll help you with your dog. You help me with my call, and together we'll be a great team.
Yeah, that'll work.
Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This product review is brought to you by The Outdoor Hub. We're going to talk about picking a dog food, and there are so many sales pitches out there now. You've got everything from we put wild berries to probably wild carrots in their food. What do you look for in food?
I have to have a dog food for performance that has the nutrients to carry my dogs through the elements of the summer, the elements of the winter, and can keep my dogs acting like a professional athlete throughout the year.
So a fancy bag with a bunch of fancy words on it doesn't cut it. You need stuff with good nutrients, quality ingredients that's going to give them that recovery time that they need.
Ingredients are important, but digestibility on our starches is what we're looking for. And how we get that is through our cooking process. And our cooking process is OptiCook. OptiCook makes that starch where the dog can take it in, digest it, and put it to use in performance in the field.
You know what, when it comes down to it, as you say down south, the proof is in the pudding.
That's right.
You look at these dogs, you look at their coats, you look at how they look with their proportion in their weight, their muscle tone. It shows it right there that loyal is a quality food.
If you don't have a good quality food, the dogs will not perform, period.
Take it from us, Brad runs all over the country, Super Retriever Series, big time competition. I hunt my dogs everywhere. We feed loyal, it's a great food. Last season on Sporting Dog Adventures, we had a couple of hunts in Montana. It was really rugged terrain. We had a lot of dogs get injured, Rommel being one of them. About 3 weeks after the hunt, he ended up with a swollen foot. It was swollen right between two of his toes. We had it cleaned out, and over a year, we had to have it cleaned out 3 more times. It finally got to the point where Rommel was so sick, he couldn't sire litters, so we had no puppies coming from him. We couldn't hunt him, we couldn't even train him. What we ultimately ended up doing was removing the webbing between 2 of his toes just to pull the whole area out. Once it was taken out, there were actually multiple pieces of a thorn that were encapsulated and causing the issue. It ended up where he had a system-wide infection 2 different times and almost died on us. This was a really special hunt because Rommel was finally healed up and ready to hit the field. I didn't have time to train him, didn't even have time to condition him, so we decided to take him out on a waterfowl hunt rather than upland. It was really cool watching him. I mean, if every dog owner hates to see their animals get sick, to almost see him die because he had these infections, it was terrible. And then to see him go out and just knock it out of the park during the hunt, made me really proud of this guy. And now it's time for this week's Conservation Corner. Recognizing that nest success is the most important factor limiting duck production is that predators account for the overwhelming source of nest loss. Delta Waterfowl sought to understand how to manage nest predators. Since 1994, Delta Waterfowl has been evaluating the removal of predators and the increase of duck production. Across many areas of the prairies, at a variety of scales, Delta has documented the benefit of predator management by showing consistent doubling of hatching rates. Predator management may be an important tool for the benefit of duck production in the future. For more information, go to deltawaterfowl.org. Okay, we're at the end of a great hunt with the KPO Guide Service, southeastern Kansas. We had some ducks, we had some waterfowl, we hunted a river, we hunted a field. Rommel, what do you think, buddy? Rommel did a great job. He had some phenomenal retrieves. We had a fun crew that we hunted with. If you're looking for a great place to hunt in southeastern Kansas, they've got deer, they've got waterfowl, they've got turkey. Kansas Premier Outfitters, southeastern Kansas. Next week on Sporting Dog Adventures, we head to Huron, South Dakota for a wild pheasant hunt.
Rooster!
And some wild high-flying adventures.
Another one. Look at them all, holy sh**!
Closed captioning is brought to you by Haydel's Game Calls. If you're looking for a future champion for the Coucher Field, contact Soggy Acres Retrievers at soggyacres.com. Remember, everyone deserves a soggy dog. In the afternoon, we set up on a riverbank along a river. Boy, that's really genius, Jeff. Rocket scientist I am.
Sporting Dog Adventures, run boy run. Everything you need is here under the sun.
It was really a special hunt this week because